How fair is our justice system really? Are verdicts actually final, even after appeals? The Menendez Brothers resentencing has the potential to challenge the justice system as we know it. And I'm going to show you how. I don't know why, but every time I think of the name Menendez, I think of the villain from Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Raul Menendez. But you guys probably think of the Netflix series Monsters. In the 90s, the Menendez brothers were convicted of murdering their parents. It was really, really gruesome. But in Monsters, we see a different side of the story. See, back when this happened, the two brothers had to go through trial twice. In the first trial, the defense showed the jury that the brothers were abused sexually by their parents, which is why they snapped and did what they did. The juries in the first trial couldn't agree on a verdict, and since you need all 12 jurors to agree for a criminal conviction, the jury hung and the judge declared a mistrial. That means you have to redo the case. The same judge reset the case for a second trial, but this time he did something a little different. He excluded a lot of the evidence of the parents' abuse. The trial went to verdict, and the juries found the brothers guilty of first-degree murder. They were sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. That means they were never going to be free again. Okay, so in a situation like this, you've usually got two avenues to overcome a jury verdict. The first is that you can ask the trial judge to throw out the verdict because it's totally unfair. Yeah, right, that will never, almost never happen. But the judge is there just to check the jury in case they do some sort of nasty, crazy thing and don't follow any of the evidence. The second way to get out of this conviction is to appeal the case for a legal flaw. All right, you're not saying that the verdict is untrue in that scenario. You're just challenging the legal process. That something in the trial went wrong legally, so you ask basically for a redo. Now here's the rub. Back in 1995, when the judge didn't allow them to bring in the abuse evidence on that second trial, the judge also didn't allow the Menendez brothers to use a self-defense claim because that wouldn't make sense if the jury didn't hear about the abuse the brothers are defending against, right? So the Menendez brothers appealed the verdicts, saying that excluding the self-defense claim was a legal error. They went for avenue number 2, but the appeals court in California sided with the trial judge, saying he was right because self-defense in California requires believing you're in imminent danger. And that wasn't what the brothers were showing. Actually, one of the brothers testified that they were afraid of some future abuse at some future time. It was not imminent. It was not right now. So the California Court of Appeals said the judge was right. All right, so if you've tried avenue number 1 and you've tried avenue number 2 to overturn a jury verdict, that's it, you're done, right? Not exactly. And that's what's happening here with the Menendez brothers. They're asking the court 30 years later to resentence them, not overturn the verdict, but to change the sentence from life without parole to something less harsh and allow them to get out. I mean, it's been 30 years. So why did this happen and how is this going to affect our justice system moving forward? Let me explain. See, a new letter that was written by one of the brothers has surfaced, and it was written to one of their cousins. All right, it was found by a journalist who was writing about the brothers and writing about that, the whole story of the monsters thing. And he was going through the cousin's paperwork. Now, the cousin has already died, so no one was telling anyone anything. He just found this letter. And the letter details the type of abuse in like gruesome graphic details, okay? The type of abuse the brothers were going through back when they murdered their parents. Also, there was a documentary about a boy band that was managed by Jose Menendez, the brother's dad that they killed. And that documentary shows band members talking about how they were abused by Jose Menendez. And it further establishes a pattern of predatory behavior, okay? These new pieces of evidence push further that the Menendez brothers were probably not making up the whole abuse story.
I'm not sure exactly at what time, but almost close to when I was 7.
And how did it change?
Just became more involved.
What do you mean more involved?
We would be in the bathroom, and he would put me on my knees, and he would guide me, all my movements, and I would have oral sex with him.
Did you want to do this?
Well, that got people freaked out over social media, all right? The brothers didn't get a fair shake at trial. At the very least, the abuse shouldn't have given them that harsh of a sentence. They should have had a little bit more mercy given to them, right? And they killed their parents, we get that, but they were also really suffering. So legally, what did the Menendez brothers have to do in order to get their sentence reopened? They filed something called a habeas corpus petition. That's Latin for, why the F am I legally in jail? Habeas corpus petitions are a legal way to challenge whether or not you're legally allowed to be in jail. In their petition, the brothers brought up this new evidence, the letter to the cousin, the Menudo band members from that documentary saying that the dad was abusive. It's all new evidence that would have severely altered the outcome of their verdict or severely altered the outcome of the sentence. They argue that legally, this was an unjust outcome and it needs to change. Legally, they have to show a reasonable probability of a different outcome. That's the rule. Is there a reasonable probability that the outcome would have changed if this evidence was allowed in? Now that might be tough to do given the gruesome nature of the murders. At the same time, the DA has the power to undo the sentence as well. Here is the law that allows the DA to recommend the judge to redo the sentencing. California Penal Code Section 1172.1, Subdivision A, Subdivision 1. When a defendant, upon conviction for a felony offense, has been committed to the custody of blah, blah, blah. Look, if they've been in jail, the court may, on its own motion, at any time, upon the recommendation of the district attorney for the county in which the defendant was sentenced, that court may recall the sentence and commitment previously ordered and resentence the defendant in the same manner as if they had not been previously sentenced. That means the DA can recommend the court to recall the sentence, have a hearing to sentence the brothers again as if it's the first time they've been sentenced for this crime. And because of social media, there's a lot of pressure to get this done. So what happened on November 25th? Well, the court delayed the hearing for a few reasons. But the main one is that there's a new DA in town who will be taking over in LA just in a week. And he already committed to personally reviewing the case file with the new evidence to decide what he will recommend to the court. Don't forget though, the habeas corpus, why the F am I in jail petition is still on the table. So even if the DA doesn't recommend a change, the court can still undo the sentence and re-examine the whole sentencing. This is one of the first times social media and public perception has played such a large role in re-examining a major case in our criminal justice history. And it might just be for the better. If we see that the sentence was too harsh or the verdict was unfair, then why not? So what do you think? Should we allow social media to influence the justice system this way? Should we be able to go back and undo sentences if we find new evidence, even after appeal? Let me know what you guys think. And if you want me to give you more updates on this case, leave a comment and I'll do it.